Alright guys, Tactical here back again today. Hope you're all enjoying your Friday and looking forward to the weekend. This weekend, of course, the Los Angeles Guerrillas and the Los Angeles OpTic Gaming home series over in LA. It will be going ahead despite the coronavirus stuff that's going on. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes time here. But also wanted to talk about a really bigger story, and that one of these teams is going to be making a very surprising and last minute roster change going into this weekend. And it's a very interesting one. Fero, of course, the key member of this discussion, because we talked about him, like, is he being targeted by OpTic Gaming? What's going on Spitfire a couple of days ago? The question came in the chat, like, who do you think is the most talented player outside the league? Zero said Fero. I echoed similar sentiments. Turns out he's going to be a temporary substitute onto the Florida Mutineers, replacing Prestinni, who steps out due to personal issues that we will discuss in a few minutes time. Very interesting situation. Also, there is the big angle of, well, look, Florida have two substitutes, one of which is their coach Achura, one of which is OpTic, well, formerly OpTic Maniac, Halo Pro, and, you know, personality within the scene. Those are the two substitutes. Of course, it's a very interesting situation that when you actually have to make a substitute change, your sub bench isn't even in a good position to do so. So definitely some oversight from some of the individuals on the organisation, I imagine. But if they can sign Fero after all this, you know, goes down, that actually might work out to their benefit. So like, if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's hop into things today. First of all, this from the exclusive ace. Of course, I'm sure a lot of you guys will know this individual in the community. A number of years now has done breakdowns and, you know, analysing different weapons and what's the best attachment, all of this stuff. He says that, you know, maybe now, maybe in a couple of hours time, whenever this video is live, he might have a video that's going to switch up how competitive and pro class setups are made. I wonder if this will impact this weekend. Very unlikely. I don't reckon anyone will switch up their strategies, you know, this close to the event. But who knows, in a couple of weekends time, something that Exclusive Ace apparently has found, which could be pretty game breaking or at least change the competitive meta, could be coming to fruition. Los Angeles Guerrillas did confirm their starting lineup of Spart, Aqua, Blast, Decimate, and Vivid, as we had talked about. So, you know, Eggs out of the team, Lacefield out of the team, Saints out of the team. And, you know, will any of those individuals come back to professional Call of Duty? Who knows? Because most of the people I've talked to, you know, Zero and Enabler the last few days on the podcast, on the Codcast even, they said that, look, they don't feel like they're going to be welcome back in the starting lineup. And, yeah, if that's the case here in the LAG, we're in for an interesting situation. COD League then come out with this. We talked about the COVID-19 situation. He says the following, or they say the following here. So, the health and well-being of fans is always top priority. Based on a comprehensive review, this weekend's LA home series will continue as planned to ensure the best and safest possible experience for all attendees. The following measures have been taken: comprehensive cleaning, on-site medical professionals, well-stocked washing supplies, increased access to hand sanitizer. Like, this is all good stuff. Like, if this becomes a standard going forward at events, it'd be a lot better, because, you know, people always talk about the land flu and everything, the fact that so many people in a confined space, not many people have hand sanitizer. It's not exactly the cleanest environment, right? So hopefully this even becomes something of a precedent going forwards. That would be nice to see, maybe a little bit of benefit out of, I guess every cloud has a silver lining in that sense. So this is the situation. The Fero Mutineers, what's going on here? So Parasite then says, second tournament in a row, my teammate has an emergency and I gotta find a fill-in right before the tournament. Damn slime. You know, I guess right here he's saying to Fero, the player who left his team, like, damn it, what are you doing, brother? Which I believe is the situation. You know, unluckiest gamer, biggest complainer too, found that kind of funny. But regardless, Parasite then goes on to say, playing with Hazma Frosty, so this is Glow Frosty. Some of you might know that name, not, you know, Frosty, who's on Mutineers. But Porlex, Zaptius, Venom, Parasite, and then Glow Frosty. I believe that Fero was on this team, I suppose. Now he, as that, you know, it's like, what exactly is going on here? Where's he subbing into? What's happening? So CDL Intel comes out and says Fero could be filling in for the Mutineers in place of Prestinni this weekend. A reason unknown. Prestinni then replies like, oh boy, Arsty's boy, oh boy. And people are replying like, you know, is this a situation? What's going on? Like, they want to bench you? Like, okay, what's exactly happening here? A lot of people were very much in the dark. And then a CDL Intel, once again, or the relevant links down below, comes out with this. So TJ Halley Burner, probably an account I should follow, which seems kind of funny. Whatever, if there's a burner account, I'm going to follow it. You know what happened with the COD burner back in the day. Proof of Fero with Mutineers in place of Prestinni. Credit to TJ Halley Burner, Intel fake TJ. So this is the image right here that we see, Ryza, Fatal, Pure Nightmare, Druzy, and then Morks, Fero, Havoc, Frosty, and Skies. That seems to be the team scrimming against these guys. I guess TJ is a fake name that you're hosting the lobbies. So interesting situation, because quite often these teams will use like neutral hosts and they'll get people to neutral host things. So none of the teams have a technical advantage in theory. So yeah, it looks like Fero's scrimming with the team. Very interesting. Then you go onto the website, so hopefully you can kind of see this. Well, you can definitely see Maurice Henriquez, a lot of people call him Jay, that being Fero on the team roster here. Let me just zoom out so you guys can see the entire thing. This is what you see right now if you go on the mutineers.callofdutyleague.com/en-us_roster. That's what you see on the official website. So, this seems to be what's going on. Very, very interesting. So, then Fero tweets this out very, very recently indeed. #FearTheDeep. So Fero definitely in the squad, and the Mutineers do this official announcement. This weekend, Prestinni will not be participating at COD League's LA event due to team-approved personal reasons. In his place, Maurice Ferocities Henriquez will stand in alongside Frosty, Havoc, Morks, and Skies, pending league approval. Very interesting. Thank you to all our fans for the continued support. We're excited to hit the stage this Saturday, and Fero waking up, baby. So, very interesting situation. First of all, I find it strange that it's pending league approval. So Mutineers have said, yeah, this is fine, go ahead. But the league are yet to say, yes, this is fine, go ahead. Which I do find interesting, given that Fero is not one of their substitutes. You would imagine a situation where if you have to sub someone in, just like OpTic did last season, where Dashy couldn't get the visa, is the rumour, to come to the very first weekend of the Pro League, Zuma, their substitute, subbed in for them, which, it's a strange situation, but he was their sub, he came into the team. However, in this situation, you have 2 subs. Surely that is the purpose of having your substitute bench filled up with these players, that if you're going to make a substitute change, you take players from your sub bench, you put them in your main team. But Mutineers and other teams have done that, right? Blast on Los Angeles Guerrillas, New York, Happy is coming into the main squad. I'm sure other teams have similar things on the paper. We've heard rumours maybe that London are considering to make a change. They've got Shawnee and Mac on the bench, potentially going to come into the main squad. Those wouldn't be bad changes at all if they're for the right player, which isn't necessarily guaranteed by any means. But we might talk about that after this event in the coming week. But the fact that you're not making a change for one of your substitutes, very interesting. And of course, we know that Ogre 2, Tom, I forget exactly his surname, but legendary Halo player, he is the general manager effectively for this team. And very interesting that Maniac comes in as the substitute, former teammate and long-time Halo professional as well. Definitely seems a bit like the COD Friendship League to me, especially when Maniac doesn't seem to be playing the game too much. I think he has been playing it on stream, but not an extreme amount of actually playing the game. And when it comes to making a substitute change, you have to pick somebody up instead. However, this somebody is not just a low-tier player, right? This is Fero, a guy that a lot of people consider incredibly talented and still very good at this game as well. He seems to be doing very good in 10s for what a lot of people have talked about. He's a Call of Duty champion. In my opinion, if the Stage 2 playoffs that he was on the Team Caliber squad back in the World War II days, if the MVP trophy for that tournament had just been for the playoffs and not been for the entirety as Stage 2, which Kenny ended up winning, I think Fero deserved it hands down on that weekend. Unbelievable sniping, unbelievably good with any different weapon in hand, and just dominated that entire weekend. Super talented player. Of course, last season on the 100 Thieves team at the start of it with Slasher, things didn't work out as planned. They swapped him out for Priester. But, not every team is going to work with you on it. It's possible that he can absolutely turn up in spades here. Yes, he does have the controversy of things he said in the past, for sure. There's no getting around that, right? And it has affected his career. At the same time, he was a young guy. I do kind of believe in redemption stories. I don't want to see people that have an incredible amount of talent be pushed out of the scene for something they said like 5 years ago, even if it was an awful thing to say. But let's move on from that. Prestinni then tweets this out. I appreciate the Mutineers for working with me on this. I'm excited to be back and competing again soon. I'm at a point in my life for the first time where I think a break is needed. Thank you guys for supporting me. Means a lot, especially right now. And this is a tweet that I saw deleted, so thanks for Crone for pointing this out to me. A couple of people pointed this in my direction. It's not even the virus, man, because people were saying, oh, coronavirus, like, is he not going to fly out? My mental health is hitting the sheets, and I've been a detriment to my team. I've been a complete arsehole, and I'm usually a happy person. I haven't been myself recently. I need a break mentally from it. I want to be happy, and I'm not exactly sure what he means by this last bit, but you get the whole sentiment of the gig. And then Parasite says something very interesting. I think a few people have been looking around for the actual rules for the CDL. I couldn't really find too much, but Parasite says the following: I don't have the rules on hand, but if you play 2 CDL matches, does that mean you can't play in challenges for the rest of the year? And I think I saw something like this, but I can't exactly remember. But apparently, if you're like a player who's been playing in challenges, and then you come into the CDL and play a couple of matches, doesn't seem like you can easily go back to challenges because of the way the situation works. Fero will come in this weekend and will play at least 2 matches with the Florida Mutineers, which means that if he doesn't get a spot on this team or on another starting roster, he might be screwed out of his challenger's hopes going forwards, but at the same time, obviously, this is the move you make if you're a Fero, right, and you get this opportunity on the table. So yeah, look, this is the player roster, this is the active roster. Prestinni, so he's going to be stepping away as we talked about. Firstly, that's an interesting situation, right? Like, this is a guy who is obviously a very inconsistent player, but when he has his ups, he has his, dominant runs and they can win maps very comfortably. And we saw Florida do that at the last event when they did make the grand finals. So Fero coming in instead of him, what does that mean in terms of a role change? It probably isn't too different. They can probably take over pretty similar roles. But of course, the key point is the practice situation. They've been playing with this team for a very long time. They've probably only been practicing with Fero for, at the maximum, a couple of days now, because usually Sky's like streams scrims anyway. So maximum, they've probably been playing with Fero for like 3 days, say. Is that enough practice to get things round? Like, in an ideal world, it's not enough practice at all. You would obviously like longer than that. Who knows when Prestinni comes back into the squad, right? Because what if Fero turns up here, has a massive performance, Prestinni's sitting to himself like, okay, need to get my life in order, which is perfectly fine. Like, I'm very happy that he, comes out and says these kind of stuff openly and admits it, right? Because it's not an easy thing to do. And I think Tommy did a similar thing last season as well, when he stepped away and just said, look, I need to take some time to focus on myself. Of course, the long playing days of practice in Call of Duty isn't easy for anyone. And, you got to focus on yourself before you can be the best man, best woman, whatever that you can possibly be. And we'll have to see where Fero lands after this. And so I thought this was pretty interesting. I saw on Reddit, like, the point of subs are ? Now, some teams have used them, but of course, this Florida situation really is very interesting. The fact that you have a couple of subs, one of them's your coach, of course, and maybe you're not going to go down that route, but Maniac, like, why is he even there if he's going to be a content creator? But when you need to sub someone in, you're not even going to use him. Like, surely you could have made better decisions pre-season. But at the same time, Mutineers have managed to nag Fero, which I'm sure was on a lot of people's radar. So if that's the case, then they might actually have done pretty well out of this. But this is something I wanted to consider. Tomorrow morning, I'll make a video for you guys on predictions and main storylines for the weekends. But just to say real quick before we finish, Florida versus Atlanta is game number 1. They have a very, very difficult pool indeed. They have Atlanta mapped Juan, and then say Dallas beat New York. Then they'll maybe playing New York in the second game, which might not be ideal, but it's 2 teams with substitutes. There's a possibility Florida win that, but even if they do, they'll probably be playing either Atlanta or Dallas, so I doubt they're getting out of this pool, but they may be able to play 3 series. We'll just have to see. But then again, I could have said that last weekend, and they made the grand finals. Things are pretty inconsistent right now. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.